All right, so today we will talk about AI in productivity, especially for professionals. And we gained or gathered a lot of experience in the past. Well, I just published a video about it 2021. I started using Mem for the first time, which was the first AI note-taking tool out there that claimed to replace any structured note-taking app with just an AI brain and resurfacing any information the moment it's necessary. Those who followed the journey of MEMC saw that, well, after the initial hype, it wasn't able to live up to the hype. All right. So, and for us, we've been very hyped too, but we came to the same conclusions. It's impossible without structure to gain information, and AI is no difference, as it is just like a human being trying to help you. And without any context or structure, it's impossible to give you the information that's necessary. So that's just one of many examples we can talk today about using AI in productivity. And we see so many professionals who think and believe that when they let AI into their world, everything will be solved. But this misbelief was already around for decades without even AI, where people hired personal assistants and thought now this person will relieve any stress. And in fact, it just added more stress on top, as it introduced a whole new dynamic to the team. And once our professionals realize, and our members, that there is a connection between a personal assistant and an AI, and how you can lay the ground so these can really work efficiently for you, then they understand how AI can work. But up to this point where AI can really help you at work, there's a long way to go, right, Paco?
Yes, well, I think that this comes out of a dream, okay? I think that a dream of humanity that is do nothing and achieve everything, you know? And I think that that's a dream that I think that we have dreaming about for our whole history, and that's impossible. The other day I read a little bit about Kobe Bryant, and he was training every single day the basics as a warm-up, okay? So imagine such a star and doubling down on the basics of techniques and things like that. So imagine how difficult it is to achieve something complex, okay? And the moment that we perceive that something can be close to that dream is the moment that hype begins. And well, recently we can think about the blockchain. I don't read so many things about blockchain. Well, crypto has, I would say, completely disappeared. Okay, quote, I mean, comparing to the hype that it seems that everything was going to work based on blockchain. I read about the BMW doing things, electricity companies making contracts in real time with the clients. Well, many fantasies. And at the end, you know, even the dot-com bubble, okay, everything seemed okay. There was a moment, I remember, a small company here in Spain that was based on the internet, okay? And there was a moment that I was talking about the valuation of the company in the stock market, and it was bigger than Telefonica, okay? That is the biggest company, the telecom company here in Spain. Well, that company was, in theory, okay, bigger than, obviously, it collapsed and it disappeared. Okay, well, I think that at the end, Telefonica bought it just for €1, okay, as a, as a signal of respect. Okay, but I think that we don't want to face complexity. Okay, I think that that's one of the approaches of these things. Okay, the moment that we want to refuse and go away and run away of complexity is the moment that we want to make things simple, and it's impossible. Okay, things that are complex, they will be complex, and we need to decide how we want to tackle it. And information is one thing, how we handle the actions. Okay, well, now later on we can talk about AI trying to automate many things. Okay, our calendars, our product management, how AI make the searches, and at the end we conclude that if we don't put the effort, for me, that's one of the biggest conclusions. That is, if we don't put the effort, it's really difficult to achieve things that are complex. Okay, I think that we need to put the effort, to put the job, to understand how things work. I think that understanding and learning how things work, it's pretty important. And the moment that we take shortcuts, and many AI approaches are based on shortcuts, okay, I will do many things. For instance, we can see here in the video publishing or the writing publishing, people just asking AI to generate those videos, and we can perceive that it's impossible, okay? Because we are pretty simple, but at the same time, we are pretty complex creatures, and we are able to develop and publish things that are really complex, that are full of nuances and subtleties that combine create something complex that it seems pretty easy and simple from the outside, but the moment that you really go into the nitty-gritty, the moment that you go deeply into those pieces of content or those products, services, whatever, they are really complex, and a lot of them have been prepared and delivered by huge teams of people working together with different talents, with different knowledge, with different approaches, with different perspective of reality. Well, too many things that the moment that we try to put that into an algorithm is the moment that we see how complex we are, no? And I think that the launch of ChatGPT 5 has been, well, a little bit a deception, I would say, and many people are going back to 4 because the jump between 3 and 4 was huge, and we thought that that was something that we can increase in each iteration, and it's something that it's impossible. Okay, we cannot scale and make a big revolution. Talking about internet, for instance, again, it took decades, okay, to really deliver services that deliver real added value and things like that, okay, and we want AI is something that started, I don't know, 3 years ago, and we want to completely change a whole society. Well, I think that it's a little bit crazy, and the same way that avoiding and forgetting that AI is there, it's also a big mistake, no? Again, balance is crucial. And I think that that's what we will try to bring to the table in this episode, okay? That it's how we can balance, take the best out of this technology, tool or whatever the name is, but don't think that it's gonna solve our lives, okay? Because that's what many people are trying to do. And also, a lot of people is trying to sell, okay, to other people, because I cannot tell about how many ads I receive in any platform, okay, talking about AI, solving all my problems, investing, creating products, just working from home just 1 hour and things like that. And it's something that sounds like a joke, but the moment that these guys are publishing this type of ads, I think that there are people buying or at least believing or paying attention to that type of content.
Yeah, 100% agree. And the problem is really the lack of understanding of the complexity. I fully agree. I mean, look at the ICOR methodology that we developed to define a productivity system end to end. And once you dive into this, you see the complexity. When you go through the ICOR methodology, you think, oh, that's pretty easy. Yeah, it was. How much? Well, in fact, it took us 20 years in total to come to these conclusions, and then another 2 years to consolidate everything together and define the methodology. So it's really as simple to understand and as easy to implement for any professional out there. And now from the surface, or our ICOR framework where we lay out the tools, right? It's so obvious for all our professionals doing it now who are using the tool. But before that, nobody had it. Why? Because it was such a complexity on how different productivity tools work together, how tasks are connected with a planner and a calendar, and how the heck are actually nodes involved in the whole system and are relevant to the task. All these things, we have to get this holistic view of everything before we even start thinking about simplifying it. And it reminds me of working in corporate when I took over a team completely overwhelmed, and around us 2,000 people were fired because they concluded we can outsource all the work to an island in the ocean and save a lot of money for that. And I'm always a fan of optimizing processes. I'm a fan if I have experts in my team that they can focus on what matters instead of all the nonsense around they have to handle every day. Yes, let's outsource this. But the fact is, it was not even clear what these people are doing. And this happened, they outsourced and it crashed because it wasn't clear what was actually outsourced. They fired a lot of people who were critical positions in the company. And well, that's when they felt that things are not going well. And that's why I'm such a fan. And that's what we teach in the paperless movement too. Lay out your business workflows first in a tool agnostic way. Understand what you're doing on a daily basis before you even think about automating. Do this and then start optimizing. And we see it over and over again, how much time our professionals can save every week just by understanding what they're doing every day. That's crazy, right?
Manually.
That's right? It's so much more efficient doing it. They realize, oh man, the work that I would have invested to manage the automation takes so much more time and in time investment and money investment than doing it manually, because the level of control and the understanding what's going on goes a long way down the workflow, if you will. And that's where people then realize, okay, it's not the whole workflow I want to automate or I want to hire a person for to take over. It's just individual process steps in there that could be optimized and release friction or things that they hate to do, then these are the parts to outsource, but they are aware exactly what to do. And it's crazy how many people don't know what they're doing on a daily basis in their brain. They do it every day. It makes sense all the time. So, but the moment they hire a person or they try to let it AI to do it, that's the moment they realize it's not clear at all what they do. And that's why they struggle every day. And many countless examples we have there. We had an inner circle member using Motion with an M, right? That's a project management tool that has AI to manage not only your own calendar and the due dates of your tasks and things like that, but the whole team's calendars. So based on the project and the priorities, AI tries to figure out, to fill in, get the gaps with any tasks that fit in there. And it drives me crazy. I get anxious just thinking about it, waking up in the morning, opening up my calendar, and there are suddenly complete different tasks in there that I wasn't aware of because AI thought it just makes sense. But how the heck should AI know how to move things around? And that's the only if, and I think I will make a video about this, the only way how AI or the personal assistant could work best if you have a brain transplant, right? That's what Elon Musk is working on. If you have this and AI has a direct connection to your crazy brain, well, probably AI gets anxious then if it would connect to my brain, but that's the only way to work. Otherwise, you have to explain it to AI to give the full context, or to the assistant, and that's the challenge working in a team and all these things. And as long we don't have something like this, such a connection like this, AI won't work. And the MIT just confirmed it with a scientific paper where they showed that, what was it, 98% of the projects where they said it's all working on AI failed and only 2% survived. And if you look into the 2%, then it is the people who understood already what was going on in the business in the first place. And that's exactly the point that we need to get to, and we have to work on the foundation. And that's what the paperless movement is here for, that we educate the world. It sounds crazy, but it's educating the world, because no matter what company, what country you're in, the issues are always the same, with the basics, to get a basic understanding what's going on every day. And then you can go wild when it comes to optimizing and automating and using AI. I mean, look at the back end of the paperless movement, right?
Yeah, the thing is that the problem is that when there's no system, you think that AI or whatever the new shiny object is will make the work for you. And that's something that it will never work, okay? Nobody will make your work for you, okay? Because you got the knowledge, you got the mission, the goal, the nuances, the feelings, everything, a lot of information that we are not even aware, okay? It's something that we perceive, that we feel, and that we express, okay? And trying to delegate that, to outsource absolutely everything, it's impossible. It's impossible. For me, for instance, creating articles, I just can delegate part of the editing process. Like in the old times, okay, there were editors and still there are editors. They have improved, okay, by using AI, or there are people who are not using physical editors, okay, people for that process, because you don't need such a huge, a big editor, an important, a talented editor, okay, for publishing our articles. Specifically when we know perfectly the subject that what we want to communicate, when we want to make things simple for the people, okay? Maybe to publish a book or whatever, then you need a proper editor, because I'm convinced that a lot of people are saying that a lot of professions will disappear, and I think that not so many will disappear. They will make changes, okay, talking about what they do, but at the end, they will keep doing more or less similar things, enhanced by technology. Because I was thinking the other day how my grandparent worked at the office, okay, because he was working in an office. I'm talking about the 40s, okay. More or less, we are doing the same, okay. We are sitting on a desktop and we are doing things, okay. Of course, I work faster. My outcomes are much more significant, I could say. I can reach the whole world, okay? Many things have changed, but there are some other key elements that haven't changed at all, at all. It's exactly the same how we relate one to each other, how we try to sell the things, how we try to convince the people, how we try to bring the value to the table. There are many things that are constant, okay, and that they haven't evolved. And the first thing that haven't evolved are ourselves, okay? Our brains, our perception, our cognitive mechanism, they haven't changed at all. And now we are trying to force the things to work like we are a different species. And that's something that doesn't work at all, because we are exactly the same as an ancient Greek, an ancient Roman, and things like that, you know?
Fully agree.
And we're trying to... No, go ahead.
Fully agree. So I don't think that anybody who has no clue, for example, about productivity and lived it can now make a productivity channel. And well, they can obviously, and they can read out generic scripts that AI will create, but they will never understand the nuances of how to implement productivity. And I want to actually go nearly 100 years backwards in order to better explain this. So 1927, I just saw it recently, people were still using horses on the farms to make the acres and so on, and you know, the crops and all this. And they used horses. And now they got to receive machines to replace the horses. And this became very popular, and now there are no horses anymore. But the machines behind that they are using to make the work are still the same. So the horses were actually dragging this around, and they just increased efficiency by improving. Obviously, now the whole machinery is improved. But the thing is, this is what worked because they already had a perfect workflow, and now there were something there to optimize it. And it was obvious, if I can replace a horse and have something that is like 100 horses, then it's an easy calculation for any human. And that's not so easy to understand with AI. But if you look at it from this perspective, then I also fully agree that that I think that that the experts will get enhanced. So like the copywriters, as you said, you know, they can speed up their work, but they will understand if this is nonsense or not. But you cannot trust AI out of the box to say, this is it. And because it will stay too generic. It will, and I don't think it will ever change. And that's where there's the opportunity for the whole humanity to increase their work, to become better. But the problem is the humanity themselves. If we look into the older systems and how much potential there is to improve before you even think about automations, they have to go a long way. And that's why I think there's the conclusion of the MIT that the things didn't work out as everybody was expecting with AI. That's a big backslash for AI and the enthusiasts there for sure. This being said, we are using AI. We are not against AI. We are using it since day one, but enhancing our workflows. And just think about the courses that we created for the Paperless Movement membership. Membership, yeah. It's the opposite. It's the membership. It's the courses when we had the scripts in there. Paco and I, neither of us are native speakers. So we had a person going through the scripts, being a native speaker, to correct our scripts and if they are correct for our lessons, as we really wanted to make sure. But this was a person who had no clue about what we are trying to deliver in these scripts. And that's something that you saw. They started changing things. The context was out of context. It made no sense anymore. And the same happens with AI. If you are not training the AI with your expertise that you have in mind, and then also approve it afterwards. So we made it in the end ourselves, right?
Yeah, and the thing is that because there are many busy professionals that reach out like scared people, okay, thinking that they are going to be fired tomorrow, okay, because the end of the current society is going to be tomorrow, and there are people trying to learn complex AI prompts, forgetting about the current job and the responsibilities that they need. And for me, is that it's such an early stage of the AI that it's like at the beginning of computer science and this type of technologies, okay, that you don't need to be a programmer, okay, to use the technology. The same way I think that you don't need to be a super AI prompter, okay, to succeed in your area, okay. It's a problem of those guys, okay, of the software companies to create, I believe a lot, and I love all the companies that are betting on the hidden AI, okay, where the user is not conscious, is just receiving the outcome, okay, without, okay, just following his intuition. Because, and also that was one of Apple's success, for example, they converted the computer into a household appliance, okay? It was something like a refrigerator, a TV, or whatever. It wasn't something complex, because at those days, using a computer and interacting with a black screen, sorry, and using your keyboard to interact with something, it was something that people didn't resonate with that approach. It's exactly the same, okay? How come are gonna be, I don't know, a marketing director or someone like that trying to create AI prompts to enhance his performance? I think that it doesn't go that way. Other thing is betting on tools that do that job, and they know those tools, they interact with those tools, they have an overall picture of the different products and services that are in the market, those type of things. But I think that right now, trying to become an expertise, okay, an expert into AI prompting and things like that, is like if everybody should be a programmer, okay, a developer to succeed in today's world. I think that there are a lot of different professions that don't need to know about coding, that don't need about AI prompting, and just need to be aware of the solutions that appears in the market, and being able to decide if they are useful or not, because maybe they are not at all. And we have used AI and are currently using AI, but we are not using a lot of different solutions that we have tried for many things, including productivity, okay, that we have tested, have decided that it has no sense, okay? It's like the motion example that you have shown, but many others, okay? Many others. There are many tools that are using AI to make searches, and it's much better to use the right structure, storing the information so that it guarantees that you will retrieve it at any moment. You know how to store it, you know how to retrieve, and you don't need AI at all, because the AI search, it's something that many tools needs to improve, okay? Because it's not delivering anything at all. And you know that the content is there, but you are not able to retrieve it. And that's something that causes that sense of uncertainty. And I think that a productivity system is just the opposite, okay? It's trust, the asset that you are demanding, okay? And the most important skill, okay, of a productivity system. And the moment that you perceive that that tool is not using correctly that technology is the moment that you stop using that and nothing happens, okay? Nothing's happened because at the end, you just want to store the information to retrieve and to make it useful, okay? To convert it into actions that allows you to achieve your goals. And I think that that loop is the one that we need to cover the most efficient way, okay? But that doesn't mean just AI, okay? There are a proper use of tools or using the tools correctly, the current tools on your tool stack is more than enough, for example.
Yeah. And it's also important to mention how important the infrastructure is. So as you said, we are just in the beginning and there are things like MCPs, maybe some know. AI is allowed to look into your project management tools, your note-taking apps, and so on, and make sense of it. That's amazing because that's exactly the context that I was mentioning in the beginning that is useful now to ask questions because it has a much broader context. However, it's not there yet. It's like going into the jungle to a tribe and giving them an iPhone and they say, what the heck? Well, it looks like magic, but it's completely useless. There's no internet. There's nobody to call. There's no infrastructure around. It's not adopted by the people. If you think about this, then you see it's not working. It's not useful at all. And that's why it's great to have something like ChatGPT. AI was around before ChatGPT, obviously, but it became available for the masses. And now it's adjusting worldwide, right? How is it used? What is it useful? And I just published a video about the evolution of note-taking apps. And I mentioned something similar to this when Notion, with an N at this time, came out and allowed everybody to make interconnected databases. And you were able to build up amazing knowledge management systems. And something I love to do, but something that so many people got anxious and had no idea. And because it was too many opportunities and too many things, interconnected databases was already available before for not only developers, but companies were using it and so on. But Notion, again, made it available and accessible for the public. ClickUp jumped on the same train, did the same thing. And that's how we slowly improve the understanding of these things and the way of thinking in a digital world. I think that's important. These are things that are not working on paper, and the whole humanity is too slow to catch up with this. We are still, for many people, having a handwriting note-taking app is still the big thing that you can search your handwriting. But we are already so far ahead when it comes to these note-taking apps. It was 2020 when there was the shift happening from handwriting note-taking apps to PKM systems. And this is really something just it becomes accessible for everybody. It doesn't mean that everybody will understand it and steal your jobs. However, you will have an unfair advantage if you use these systems in the right way that makes sense for your specific use case. And this won't be for everybody. This will be just for the people who really understand what they are doing and how they leverage these tools to increase what they're already doing good or best. Yeah. All right, everybody. I think this was it for this week. And next week, we will catch you up with another topic. It is an endless stream of ideas and things that we can discuss in the world of productivity for sure. And it won't stop even without AI. Well, in fact, the ideas can come from AI in the future. Who knows? But it's still the two of us, and we'll catch you up next week. Thanks so much. See ya.
For sure. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.